So, festive greetings to my dear Nigerian compatriots. I've chosen this auspicious occasion of the Muslim festival celebrating the birth of their prophet to come live and rub minds with each and every one of you. You are welcome, and I believe I'm welcome too. It's good to be here with you. On that note, I also felicitate especially with our Muslim compatriots, colleagues, friends, brothers and sisters all over the world as they celebrate, following the biblical injunction to rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Romans chapter 12, verse 15. My apologies as well for extending this live session by 30 minutes. And I still turned up a few minutes after. I obviously had to beat the traffic to be here. And I really wish you understand that and bear with me. Having said that, let's go on to the main business of the day without wasting time, or as they say, without much ado. This will be the first time coming live in this group, and indeed as convener of the New Nigeria Agenda. Yes, my videos and posts have been there, but talk of coming live like this is the very first time. And so this occasion is truly special and significant and also remarkable in several ways, like I've just pointed out in the preamble to this meeting. And I'm hoping it will be an interactive meeting. By the time I'm rounding up, and that should be in the next 10 to 15 minutes thereabout, I'm expecting that whosoever we have something to chip in, we just tap on the join button. There's a join button there that if at the end you tap, you'll be recognized and indeed giving room to also bring forward your contribution. So here in this live session, we'll be doing these basic things. One, we'll be reviewing the 5 basic ways or strategies through which the Nigerian people can remain politically relevant and also bounce back politically between now and the next election. Remember, I didn't say in the next election, I said between now and the next election. In other words, there's no luxury of time. And our time starts now, okay? So this review is important. Then briefly, we'll be looking at the End Bad Governance protest that took place between August 1st and 10th. August happened to be my birth month. And so it's unforgettable to me, and it's truly remarkable as well. In fact, this will be the first time ever that I will be having an intentional discussion of that protest. And so you can bet that this live session is fully loaded and that a whole lot of value will be gotten from it, especially as regarding the dissection of that End Bad Governance protest. Right? Another thing we'll briefly look at is the new minimum wage. Those are the key things. And then we could have what we normally call matters arising. Are we together? Let's go. So to start with, I've been advancing basic strategies with which Nigerians can not just remain politically relevant, but also be effective and achieve much of their goals, both for the polity and the entire Nigerian society. And what are these 5 basic strategies or ways? I'll still repeat them here, especially as this is the first time we'll be having this live session here. 1, people's power of recall over their elected representatives. 2, information, intelligence, and dialogue. 3, voluntary financial support to self-supporting political comrades and economic productivity. 4, petitions and boycotts in both domestic and international arena. And 5, peaceful protest, calls for resignation, and self-defense. So these are the 5 basic ways or strategies through which Nigerians can be both politically relevant and effective in the pursuit of national goals and even personal goals, I must add. Okay? If the country is not working well, even your personal goals will be affected in the long run. I think almost every one of us, except those that are looting the country, those that are profiteering from crisis, almost every one of us can relate to this assertion that whatever Nigeria is going through now, politically, economically, otherwise, is affecting each and every one of us individually. If there are exceptions, those are the culprits. Okay? So, by this review, we're looking at how far and how much Nigerians have been intentional about pursuing and achieving their goals using these strategies, following these ways. Okay? Or do we call it formula? Yes, to me it's a formula. But that is what I have proposed and I'm still proposing for achieving a new Nigeria agenda. And let's digress briefly. By new Nigeria agenda, what do we mean? We mean that we envision a Nigeria different from the Nigeria we are seeing and experiencing now. We are dreaming of a Nigeria away from the Nigeria of the current ruling political class. And in fact, it's a Nigeria that is opposed even to the dreams of the founding fathers of this country. It's a Nigeria, I dare say, that even the Awolowos, the Zikiwes, the Tafawa Balewas, and lately the Abiolas, the Aperacus, all these figures, we know them. This is the Nigeria they were looking for. If they come back today, even some of those people claiming to be descended from these people, whether politically or biologically, I tell you, the founding fathers will be disappointed. Our heroes past will be disappointed. And of course, nobody remembers them now, at least not officially, because that line that we used to sing in the national anthem, the labor of our heroes past, that line is gone. Okay? So when we talk of a new Nigeria agenda, this is what we're talking about. The Nigeria we dream and aspire to have, away from the Nigeria that is the current reality. And for you to achieve that dream, a dream is a tall task. You must be intentional about pursuing and achieving it. For you to achieve that dream, you have to be strategic. You have to follow some strategies. And that is where I've come in handy as a patriotic Nigerian that God Almighty has also inspired and helped a lot. I've come out thoughtfully with these strategies. So by reviewing them, we're looking at which one of these as Nigerians really started applying them, and are they really consistent with applying these strategies to achieve results? I think this is the fundamental question in this discussion. So, to have a proper review, we start with the first strategy: people's power of recall over their elected representatives. And this applies both at the federal and state level. You have a senator, House of Rep member, or House of Assembly member that is no longer delivering the goods. He's only taking money into his pockets. His constituents are not seeing the dividends of democracy. And the guy lacks integrity. He's collecting bribe left and right. He's allowing even the presidency to cage him. Remember, in a democracy, there's separation of powers and there are checks and balances. So a situation where you have a National Assembly that is completely in bed with the executive, or you have a state assembly that is completely in bed with the governor, oh my God, a whole lot is already lost in that democracy. So these are some of the things we're looking at. If you have this kind of people, some of them are collecting SUVs, and they don't care that you are being killed by bandits on your farm. They don't care that right now you are not even in your ancestral land or home, that you are dying of hunger for no fault of yours. Because actually you are not a lazy type. You have a farm, you have a house. If government was performing its statutory responsibilities, you will be in your house and on your farm. Right? So you have those kind of representatives. They don't care about you. They are not representing you like they were supposedly elected to do. Then what are you to do? This is where this strategy comes in. A recall process can be initiated. And with the help of technology, it's very much achievable, especially when it comes to creating awareness and also collecting the needed signatures. Right? So, when you look at this, can you say Nigerians are awake to their responsibilities? Can you say the citizens are properly informed and are beginning to take charge of their own affairs? That is the big question here. Personally, I've not heard about a recall process being initiated in Nigeria for a long time. And even the previous ones that were initiated, I can confidently tell you that most of them went nowhere because of the typical kind of political class we have. And of course, because we as citizens too are too docile, too indifferent to follow up on what we started. It's not always business to the finish for us. Once we start and maybe there are hurdles, one or two, most of us give up. You know? So, if you look at this strategy number 1, you can agree with me that Nigerians are completely missing here. In fact, they need to wake up. We need to wake up. This is the time we should be recalling a lot of irresponsible and insensitive federal and state lawmakers, or rather lawbreakers. Okay? I don't see them as lawmakers. They are lawbreakers, and I don't see them as representatives of the people. They are rather loners in their own game of interest. Okay? So, if you ask me, applying this strategy is long overdue. These guys have committed more than enough blunders. When you have a Senate president that publicly tells you, let those protesters go and be protesting, we'll be eating. And then you take such as normal. You are not embarrassed enough to take action. And this is especially talking of not just Nigerians, but the constituents that this senator is supposed to be representing. Why is action not taken? I know that most Nigerians can only protest and demand the resignation of Senator Akpabio as Senate President. When it comes to removing a senator, it's his constituents that have that answer. Okay, but we have allowed these things to fly over time. They collect SUVs from the presidency for what? In a country where you just say you are taking hard decisions and everybody should sacrifice, you went for luxurious goods. At whose expense? At the expense of ordinary Nigerians, of course. So, who is fooling who and who wants to be fooled? We should start taking action about such matters. And when it comes to the National Assembly in particular, this is one of the best strategies, if not the only best strategy for now, to use against them. And I bet they will all sit up. Even those who are mad, their senses will be reset, or what we call factory reset. They will have it immediately. You know, you can see some of these comedy videos Nigerians are doing that. One macho guy comes and slaps some nonsense people, and their senses start coming back. Yes, so I'm not talking about a literal slap here, but if you apply this kind of strategy consistently, those people we call our senators and representatives, they will all sit up, they will queue behind us, instead of trying to lord over us and enslave us, and even destroy us, like they are currently doing. So, that is it about that strategy. Personally, I will score Nigerians 0 on that one. I've not seen anything coming in that direction, and it's high time this strategy was applied too. The second strategy is what? Information, intelligence, and dialogue. And here too, I can tell you that Nigerians are disappointing. Maybe you can give 20 to 30%. There are maybe a few citizens somewhere that are still able to take time and analyze public policy and point out where politicians are getting it wrong. And in fact, they are passionate in doing that. They are hoping that the message will be passed across and Nigerians will discuss and take action. Okay? That is where this strategy comes in. We should discuss the burning national issues of the day, and it shouldn't end with just talking. We should take action. Talk and do, like it's usually said. Okay? But here, you'll see that what most Nigerians, even the hungry ones, what they are following mostly on social media is absolute nonsense. Either nudity or some useless jokes, you know. But there are jokes that are entirely useless. Even if you laugh now, immediately you finish laughing, the pain that was on you will come back. But there are also jokes that are truly entertaining and educative as well. That you say, oh, this is funny, but it's true. You see those kind of comments to comedies, you know that is those ones are sensible. Of course, there are in every bunch of nonsense, you should have a percentage that is good. So maybe you can talk of 5% of comedians that have sense, that are able to relate to the Nigerian story, not the rest that are completely mad. As long as they are making their money, they behave even worse than the politicians, because they act like what is going on doesn't even concern them at all. But they are making money out of you and me. Because so long as we like, comment, and share their post, Facebook is paying them, they are cashing out with their nonsense and out of our ignorance and stupidity. We are accomplices to those kind of things. So if you go online now, you will see this thing I'm telling you. Most Nigerians are not discussing the burning national issues of the day. They are following useless comedy, thinking that, oh, maybe somehow I'll relieve myself of the tension that the politicians are putting us through. But is that really true? Because after you finish watching that useless comedy and come back, you are back to reality and you are worse than before. Because you have not done something, and those demagogues in power, they are emboldened to do more rubbish to rubbish you and me. But of course, I am proud of myself because of a session like this, because of events like this. Because I'm not keeping mute. I'm not pretending all is well. I'm not indifferent. And that's what I expect from Nigerians. Come up. Even if it's the social media platform you have. In fact, it's about the most powerful platform you can use in the world now. And I can tell you that as a social media trainer. It's one of the reasons I'm currently running a social media training online. And you can also register for that. Just remember to chat me at the end of this live session. So even if it's social media you have, like I said, come live on social media or just post. Articulate your thoughts, even if it's just your grievances. Say something about what is happening. This is where we know a country that has enlightened and responsible citizens too. You can't be crying, ayo, they are suffering us, and you yourself are doing nothing. At least you should do something before we should be sure that, oh, he tried, and then that is how the story went. I think it's better. Even if you try and fail, it's better than not trying at all. Because even your mind, your conscience will be at rest if you do your own part, if you play your own role. So, here is where we Nigerians need a reorientation. We should come back to the basics. Information, intelligence, and dialogue is very important. And more specifically, when I talk of information intelligence, not just limiting to randomly discussing issues or even throwing wide, unsubstantiated claims and allegations. It's much beyond that. In fact, I expect the pressmen, if they still have a modicum of self-respect and patriotism in them, I expect them to do a lot of work in this regard. Don't give the politicians breathing space. You should bombard the social media space, the entire public space, with information about the politicians, about their hideous deeds, secret plans, and even thoughts. In fact, before they finish reconciling themselves to a news that is already making headline, another news about them should come out. Okay? And this is one of the ways the politicians will come to their senses, by fire, by force, like we do say. They will take us serious, and they will try not just to cover up their tracks this time, but to avoid recurrences. And avoiding recurrences may not be too easy for them, because remember, you're not giving them breathing space, you're not allowing them thinking space as well. It's when you allow evil people the luxury of thinking a lot that they go ahead of you. I believe that point is well made and understood. So, by information, intelligence, and dialogue, these are the things that are there. Bring every important issue to the front burner of national discussion. Be part of the discussion. Okay? And then Nigerians should discuss it together. Invite your friends. Invite your followers. Even if you're a comedian, remember you are still part of this country. You're still part of this country. So once in a while, invite them. What do you think about this incessant hike in fuel price? I think that's an issue that should bother every sensible and patriotic Nigerian. Okay? So invite them. Let them also come and bring their own discussions. And don't just allow the discussions to end just like that. Because some people say, we're finished in this country. Those statements don't help us. Okay? What we should be discussing, what do we do next? Okay, this is our situation. This is the problem. What do we do next? Even if it's not necessarily about, yes, of course, we should call government to order. And then we can also discuss our own individual and collective survival strategies. It's important too. Because when the politicians know that you develop thick skin against the problems they are trying to put you into, against the hardship and destruction they are trying to visit on you, believe me, they will begin to fear you and respect you as well. They will begin to fear and respect the citizens. Okay? So, we should be intelligent enough, and that's why we put it as information intelligence. We should be intelligent enough to know what is happening, report what is happening, discuss what is happening, and also act on what is happening. Okay? So I expect a lot from Nigerians. And I think Nigerians should expect a lot from themselves too in this area. This is a very workable strategy if we can use it to our advantage. Yes, even that Buhari era that looks so bad, if you see some of the issues that came online that went viral and people were all over, the government always pay attention to them. So don't say those politicians, they don't know. Somehow it must get to them. Because they also have some sensibilities. Their brains may not be working fine, but their brains are not yet dead. When important matters keep coming up, especially on the social media space, believe me, politicians don't sleep over it. Not those in government, not those outside of government. Okay? The next strategy, which is the third strategy, is voluntary financial support to self-supporting political comrades and economic productivity. And yes, you all came together for an election that has already been conducted. A winner declared. Whether you agree with the result of that election or not is a different matter. Okay? But I think we all have passed that stage already, including the competitors in that election. So, what this third strategy is talking about, let it not stop at you coming together to pursue an electoral mandate or election mandate. Okay? After the election, what next? Whether it's your candidate or party that was declared the winner of the election or not, what next? What next for that young lady that was ready to take the bullet just because he believes this candidate can make a change? Okay, she believes this candidate can make a change. She was ready to take a bullet. She was ready to face brutality. Okay? And of course, we all know the story. A lady that was macheted and had to go to be bandaged. In fact, she wasn't even properly treated. She was just bandaged. She said, just do this. I want to go back and vote by all means. And so, this is not just talking about the political leaders or the candidates, as the case may be. It's also talking about those of us that networked, that directly or indirectly brought those kind of heroes on board. Have we forsaken them? Is the comradeship over? How about this harsh economy? Should they face the realities alone? I think we should all step in. We should all support. We all know who those political comrades are, that we brought them on board, and they also worked hard with all sincerity, without even expecting returns. They worked hard so that the right candidate, as the case may be, will win and things will change for the better. So, what are you doing for that kind of person, those kind of people? This is what this strategy is talking about. That if you are better off, even if it's a little, all of us are in classes, or in different economic classes and statuses. Even billionaires are in different statuses. Even in the poor group, we're in different statuses. So if your poverty is so that you can afford food to eat, at least invite that comrade who can afford food now to come and join you and eat food with you. Okay? If you are middle class, it's so that at least you have some little saving, even though you don't have a house or car or those kind of luxuries or needs even that you long for. But you have some little change somewhere. Help a sister or brother with it. Because some is just petty business they're trying to do. And I don't think it will be too much if you give 20, 30, 40, 50,000. If you have it. If you have it. And you are not urgently in need of it to do something, I think you can help out. Help a political comrade. And I'm emphasizing a political comrade. I'm not talking of political bastards. And what the people are called political bastards, they follow blindly. They follow their stomach. And so long as they follow their stomach, they don't care whether it is a dog or donkey or horse that is declared winner of an election. Such people are useless even to themselves, and trying to help them, you will only be roping yourself into the same pit of destruction with them. So this strategy is very clear. We all know who the political comrades are. And we all know their personality, their character, their determination and everything. So those are the people I'm talking about here. And of course, this now puts a burden, a quest on the political leaders or candidates as well. The election is over. You were not declared a winner. So what next? Does it mean you on your own, you don't have personal initiatives you can be doing to help Nigerians who are in some sort of financial and economic distress? You also know who your ardent followers were in the various elections. You know who your loyal party members are. Are you not aware of their challenge at the moment? Can't you do something at least a bit to help them through? Okay? And this strategy is important in several ways. If a political leader or candidate is really intentional about maintaining his or her political base ahead of the next election, this strategy is key. Because the party that is in power will also be struggling to reach out to your own base, to see where they can dangle the carrot, to see where they can throw around some corn. Chicken love corn, and some of your supporters, without any solid economic foundation or occupation, they will be like chicken. They will want to eat the corn that the party in power is throwing at them. Okay? And you and me know that the next election, they're definitely not with you. Are we together? And generally, this should interest every stakeholder in society, including the NGOs, including those supposed institutes of democracy, whether from US, EU, wherever. If you are really interested in helping our democracy, come into the economic angle too. Because most of these young people, these vibrant young people, these energetic young people, they need to be meaningfully engaged and preoccupied. If not, by the time the next election comes, the politicians are already recruiting them for thuggery. And even before the next election, some are already going into armed robbery, prostitution, and the rest. And we all know how chaotic that kind of situation can be. In fact, we're already experiencing this. Most of the so-called terrorists and bandits, a well-known fact, they are affiliated to the politicians. They started with the politicians as thugs, as prostitutes, as social media warriors, and the rest. And today, because the politicians too are fond of using and dumping, most of them try to find their own alternative. And they ended up completely on the wrong side. Okay? Because most of them today, to show how stupid and wicked even the supposed victims can be, they are going after innocent, suffering citizens of legitimate means and intent. People who are struggling in their own circle to see how they can make a living. These are the people the bandits and terrorists are targeting every day. Okay? But like I said, even we the citizens, we should not just lament and say, oh, we're finished. No. This is our problem. So what do we do? How do we tackle it? Yes, there seems to be no idea around it, but let's keep asking the question, what do we do? And let's keep discussing it till we arrive at something to do. Right? So, but the key point here is keep these people meaningfully engaged with some viable economic enterprise or activity. And I assure you, by the time the next election comes, the politicians will have to employ their own children as thugs and assassins and the rest. So this strategy is key, and I expect a lot to happen. What some of the supposed opposition figures, Atiku Obi, are doing, yes, it's a bit commendable, but like I have said, don't just be talking, be doing something. Don't just wait till the government in power on seat brings the wrong policy, brings a harsh policy. They come and say, oh, look at how insensitive they are to Nigerians. You know, that is a very popular narrative. Even the current party in power used it against gullible Nigerians. They'll come out and talk like they mean well. But where were the actions? The actions that match the words were not there. So, I expect actions that match words from these political leaders or candidates, from the opposition leaders in particular. Peter Obi started something like that. He went and launched 1 or 2 boreholes. Maybe I've not followed well enough, but that is the much I know. It's in Niger State and somewhere. And then he put across a call to some billionaire friends to replicate that in their various communities, believing that that will help take care of a lot of, that will help take care in the interim of the perennial water challenge most Nigerians are facing, especially in the cities. But of course, more is expected. And like I say, consistency matters too. You don't just do this today and tomorrow you are not doing it. The consistency has to be there. And that is how even those, people outside your political base that don't know you come to know you. Some they'll come to believe you. And they'll believe actions, not words. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. And in Nigeria today, the kind of actions I'm talking about are the economy boosting, financial boosting support actions. How you support Nigerians in the midst of the economic mess that the current government, the current political class has put everyone in. It matters. It's a very important question. Which politicians are doing this? Nigerians should watch out. Don't just wait till the next election when a good number of citizens are even dead from the hardship and insecurity and what have you. Don't wait till then to come back and say, oh, this is the reason you must vote me. I don't think no sensible Nigerian will be ready to follow you, not to talk of suffering and dying for you. But if you show some level of care, especially with economic and financial support, genuine economic and financial support, not buying the conscience, but supporting legitimate ventures of your political comrade, of your political followers, believe me, there are Nigerians that will even be willing to take the shot for you. And I don't mean they necessarily want to die, but they want to go to a whole lot of extent to show how much they support you and also care about you, not just as a politician, but as a person. No, believe me, there are politicians we follow today not because they are politicians. It's the personality. And this is the kind of personality we want to see in the Nigerian polity at the moment. Come up with something viable. Come up with comprehensive financial and economic package for Nigerians because you can afford it. Atiku can afford it. Obi can afford it. Even Sowore can afford it. So let's say action. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. I think that's enough. That's well said for that strategy. We would love to see more from all the political actors and even the political parties. What are the political parties preparing for their own members? Yes, aside what the government may be doing, what are the political parties themselves doing? I think that's enough said. Fourth strategy, petitions and boycotts in both domestic and international arena. We all know what petition is. Your rights are being trampled upon. You feel even government and security agencies are hounding you for no just cause other than you being a patriotic Nigerian, speaking truth to power, and also championing the new Nigeria agenda. If a situation like that is happening, don't be afraid to approach even the agencies or government within. And if they fail, take that battle to the embassies. Take it abroad too. I don't see Nigerians doing a lot here too. And that is not good. That is not good. In fact, I have a burden for foreign governments, presidents and prime ministers that feel free to host and interact with our own government today. Because with the kind of rubbish, with the kind of bad image and reputation they have heaped on themselves, I wonder how the foreign president or prime minister feels free to shake their hands, to shake such disastrous lepers. Let's say lepers because their hands are bringing only havoc to the Nigerian economy, to the Nigerian polity and society as a whole. So how do these presidents and prime ministers feel so free? But I guess we also have not taken the message to them. If you ask me, Joe Biden doesn't even know that. Doesn't even remember that Tinubu has sworn and has started misgoverning Nigeria. If you ask me, because the old man is there with his own personal challenges and worries and problems. But if there were Nigerians, not just at home, but even in the United States, that are able to point these things out, in fact, make a petition, a specific request on diplomatic sanctions and the rest, I think even those foreign presidents, they will start paying attention. So I don't completely give them the blame. Yes, they should have some level of blame because some of them enjoy it when these politicians are visiting terrible havoc on their people, but serving their own economic interest. So that's where the controversy really is. But at the same time, they also try to, in a way, form an image of their countries. So if we make a case, believe me, they will find it very hard to ignore. Believe me. And this is what this strategy is about, to make petitions, make boycotts also. You see, what do I call it? Politicians that are known to visit havoc on Nigerians. We know their business companies. We know the goods and services they sell or offer. And then we continue to patronize them like they're really doing us anything good, or they're really doing us some favor. They are not. In fact, most of those companies, most of those businesses are from the process of corruption, public fraud. It's the more reason you should avoid them, especially when you have other alternatives out there. And this relates to the area of information intelligence too. The mass media, even private individuals of concern, dig and bring out more information on these politicians to us. Let's know those of them that are exploiting us, oppressing us, and at the same time selling their goods and services to us. You are taking our money away in different manners of fraud, and then you are still coming back to demand we use our money to patronize your business. It doesn't add up. So we should be able to boycott. We should have well-documented list of such businesses that are owned by politicians, that are affiliated to politicians, and boycott them. We should boycott their social media pages and profiles and the rest. We should boycott even their boys, those political bastards and charlatans who don't have any iota of reasoning left in their heads, whose only concern is what will enter their belly. We should be able to boycott all of them, even on social media. Unfollow their pages, unfollow their groups. Okay? So, and then even the media houses, you find those of them that are only after lies and propaganda. No meaningful discussion. They are misinforming the public. In fact, they are adding to our troubles and also making mockery of us. Boycott such media houses. Feel free to do so. Whether it's on satellite or cable TV or it's on social media, have nothing to do with them. Have nothing to do with their channel. Have nothing to do with their page or group. I think if we start like this, not only the politicians, but even the other stakeholders, they will sit up. And this is what this strategy is about. It's very effective. Nigerians had better keyed into it now. And yes, like I said previously, even celebrities, comedians, actors, those people who come on social media, we're just following them, digesting their useless content, and nothing is adding up to our lives. No real value. Hey, unfollow those pages in your best interest. Otherwise, even God Almighty will not help you when you're in trouble. How can you be so foolishly following foolish people around without any tangible benefit? And you are still crying to God and say, God, help me. Even God will not listen to you. Take action so that even your prayers will be meaningful. And then, believe me, you will see a positive change for good. I believe you are getting the point. I believe you are understanding and digesting exactly what I'm saying. So, it's very important. And under this strategy, I must add something that is equally important. Nigerians, stop welcoming bad performers. The champions of bad governance, they go abroad and you welcome them. Tell your brothers abroad, those in the diaspora, stop welcoming those people and giving them red carpet reception. In fact, wherever you see these political, administrative misfits abroad, it's instructive that protesters there immediately is the way to go. In fact, our Nigerian brothers and sisters abroad who are welcoming these people and listening to them, having conversations with them, they don't mean well for us at home. We are making these people feel like, oh, they are really our champions, they are really our heroes, they really stand for us, when they don't. In fact, they are actually against us and don't want anything good to happen for the citizens. So why are you welcoming them whenever they land abroad, whenever they jet abroad, and they don't solve the problems at home? Send them back home to face and solve the problems here. They have no business traveling abroad for anything if they cannot face the issues at home. Let's stop the pretense. They are pretending and also helping them with the pretense. It's bad, it's wrong. So, Nigerians in the diaspora, you come in here too. Boycott gatherings, meetings with politicians abroad. If possible, start protest and let them know what we are protesting about. Let them know the issues that are affecting us back here at home that they are refusing to pay attention to and resolve. And make them come back to face and resolve those issues. You know, they actually signed for good governance, not bad governance. There's no Nigerian, regardless of the political party or candidate they voted, there's no Nigerian that went to the poll to vote someone that will come and finish him up, someone that will come and loot even the public treasury and then waste his own opportunities and dreams, or even snuff life out of him. I don't think there's no right-thinking Nigerian that did that, no matter the political party, no matter the political persuasion. So, what am I saying in essence? These people signed for good governance and not for bad governance. Nigerians voted them for good governance and not bad governance. And even if they didn't win, all the Nigerians that went to the poll, they have already signed it. The majority of Nigerians, and that is what democracy is, they already signed it. We want good governance. So whoever is there today, whether rightly or wrongly, because we cannot determine that now, whoever is there today, give the people what they asked for when they went to the polls. They signed for good governance, not bad governance. So if you try to offer them bad governance, they will refuse. And if they can force you before you give them the good governance, so be it. I believe the Nigerians in diaspora, our brothers and sisters in diaspora, they're also hearing this and following. They must give us good governance, not bad governance. Right? Last but not the least, this is the fifth strategy. Equally important, if not more important. We have peaceful protest, calls for resignation, and self-defense. Here I give 40 over 100 to Nigerians. And 40 over 100 is not a fail, it's a pass. It means that when it comes to this strategy, Nigerians have started waking up and also coming up. And that takes us back to the protests that happened. There were protests in a number of states, Niger, Kano. Yes, even before the End Bad Governance protest of August. So, I give kudos to Nigerians for this and encourage you, my dear Nigerian compatriots, let's sustain the tempo. Now, briefly, we review the End Bad Governance protest of August here. Nigerians announced that they were coming out for protest. In fact, once some people started hinting that we should come out and protest, everybody resonated with that call. It wasn't political. Everybody resonated with it because of the extreme hardship that the current government and indeed politicians have put Nigerians in. When I say politicians, it's a cross-party divide. It's a cross-party divide. So don't be deceiving yourself that, oh, I'm APC, I'm PDP, I'm Labour, and this. It's a cross-party divide. A Peter Mbah of Enugu State has no issue with President Tinubu so far as his own questionable election mandate is secured. Are you getting the point? And a President Tinubu any day, anytime will feel more comfortable with a PDP hijacked by his political friend and minister Wike being in power in Enugu and elsewhere than a Labour Party that is still insisting its candidate won the presidential election. A Labour Party that his own Apapa and co are not sailing. So, get it very right. When it comes to the top there, when you have a government, once election is over, there's one party that is remaining at the top there. That's the party of the corrupt, rich politicians. Because as it is today, that's the reality. Those that can loot and siphon and embezzle and also oppress the people. That's the one party that is left there. It has no acronym like APC, PDP, or even LP again. So don't be fooled. In fact, that is the main point I'm making here. The end bad governance protests of August had nothing to do with party. It had nothing to do with party. Don't mind the propaganda that was flying around, because anybody that is in Nigeria as at today, or even as at last August, you will know the kind of hardship that the citizens are going through. It's unspeakable. It's indescribable. If you want to even cry over what Nigerians are going through, you will not know how to cry again. Whether you should bite your teeth before crying, you will not know. Or you should bite your tongue rather, you will not know. You will not know how to cry even. Is that serious? So that's why most Nigerians resonated with that planned protest and came out to protest. Shame on those governors. Shame on those governors, north, south, central, wherever. Shame on those governors that weighed in and brought politics into the whole protest. For the record, people were not protesting against a party or even a state government. They were protesting against the harsh economic policies of the central Nigerian government and how they were faring. And those governors came in and used their own political rhetorics to dissuade people from protesting. People that are still facing insecurity, people that are still facing economic hardship. In fact, for them to protest is a sign that the government in power was not listening or paying attention enough. So the protest, if you're a good leader, the protest was an avenue for you to go and meet them where they are and discuss with them and listen to them and also follow up and do something about their plight. That's what a good president and even a good governor would have done. But they wade in with politics. And believe me, they have not solved those issues. The issue of incessant hike in fuel prices, has it gone? It's still there. The issue of prices of commodities, rent, and everything rising is still there. So, who did these governors help? Who did they represent? Their selfish interest. They didn't help the people. In fact, they circumvented, they sabotage a democratic and constitutional right of Nigerians, which is the right to peaceful protest. So those governors are not even democrats in the real sense of it. They are enemies of their own people, if you ask me. And if it's a mistake they did, they are supposed to come and apologize to their own people for doing that. Because even their own people must have realized by now that they were misled against joining that protest. They were even blackmailed, if I would put it like that. Because some governors want to give the impression that because they are trying their own way to make life meaningful for the citizens, so citizens should not even voice whatever is their grievances again. Are you kidding? Are you for real? So these are the issues. If you review that End Bad Governance protest, most of these governors are also corporates, not just the president. They're also corporates. What exactly did they aim at when they came and discouraged people from exercising their democratic and constitutional right of protest, and especially when there was every need to do so? Another area we can look at, and we should actually look at, that protest was announced. It was planned, a date was set. So if you ask me, it's a completely peaceful protest. Never mind that the politicians had their own game too to discredit the protest, and they carried it out in a way. Okay? But it was intentionally a peaceful protest. And it was originally a peaceful protest. Whatever has happened, the politicians should answer for it. Okay? And if you ask me, if not for their bad policies and their terrible attitudes towards the people, that protest would not have happened. It wouldn't have been necessary. So, it's even right to say they were the planners and they were orchestrators of that protest. Okay? A protest that is not supposed to be peaceful, but is inevitable, will come without warning. There will be no date announced for it. And I'm seeing Nigerians, whether we like it or not, if this government continues like this, if the current political class continues like this, I see Nigerians coming forth sooner than later with that kind of protest, where no date is announced. You see, the August End Bad Governance protest, a date was set. There was a period also that was given, and the protest lasted. We saw how, at the point, the momentum of the protest started coming down, and all because it was announced. The politicians also knew they were to expect that. But believe me, even at that, Mr. President lost his sleep. Just like a thief with some stolen goods, he couldn't sleep. Who was pursuing him? He's the one pursuing Nigerians. But at this point, he turned away and started running from his own shadows. You saw a series of meetings he started calling. You started seeing series of baseless, annoying propaganda all over the place. And that should tell Nigerians something. That in this strategy you have such a great power. Yes. The other strategies too, they were particular about this one based on the character that is there in Aso Rock too. That when a protest was announced, he couldn't sleep. He began to panic, began to hold different kinds of meetings and say different kind of meaningless things as well. It's proved one thing, that the people still have this power. We mustn't wait till the next election to start showing what we can do or start using our own power to our own collective advantage. The people have this power and influence to change things, to turn situations around. Because of that protest, in fact, the government still believes it's labor that is behind it. We saw the drama that happened with Ajaero, where security agencies started coming for him, and indeed the NLC secretariat ransacking everywhere because they started having terrible nightmares all of a sudden. Okay? The same government hurriedly announced, what do you call it? Some peanuts as minimum wage. And all in response to that planned protest. Then what happened? As soon as the protest was over, nothing was heard from the government. They didn't start paying the minimum wage. Though discussion about this has been going on for long. In fact, the government itself is more than a year in office. They have increased the salaries of whoever they want to increase. But this one they came up with suddenly on paper. Up till now, it's still pending. And you know what? They have collected it back even before payment will start. Those of you that still have your number 6 intact, you should be able to get what I'm saying. They have taken that minimum wage back already. Because as soon as they were done with it, they came back and increased the price of fuel again. And so, this is where I say Nigerians have 40, because there's still a lot to do. They're supposed to sustain the tempo. The labor movement too. The kind of person you have as president, the kind of National Assembly you have, the kind of political class that are currently there across the different parties. They are not people you just trust their word and go back to sleep. So you don't just call a strike one day and then nothing is done and you already call off the strike. You are going nowhere with that. If the strike is the only thing they are listening to, and you also know the implications of a strike, face it once and for all. Let them give a realistic minimum wage. In fact, if government is serious and even the leadership or labor movement is serious, an average worker should not be taking home anything less than 300,000 naira. Under the current economic realities, an average Nigerian worker should not be taking home something less than 300,000 naira. When you add feeding, not even for the whole family yet, feeding for himself, transport, rent, and all that, you should not be taking home less than 300,000 naira. Then if you want to be very fair to him and his family, and whoever is dependent, you even raise it to 500,000 naira. And I'm not kidding. That's the plain truth. That's the gospel truth. Okay? So if the leadership of labor movement is also serious, if you are negotiating this minimum wage with government, it's taking several months, even a year or more, change tactics. If a strike, we solve it, so be it. And what does that mean? What it means is you won't be talking with government the usual manner again. Your discussions with government will be why the strike is still on. And when will you call up the strike? When they have actually started implementing whatever is your agreement. You don't just go there and they say, okay, by next month or by next 2 months we'll start something, and then you call up strike. And then you are back to the woods. As a parable goes, you are back to the woods. Who does that? Face it once and for all. Since they have already proven they cannot be trusted, their word, whether verbally or on paper, cannot be trusted, give it to them in the language they understand, according to their own friend and brother, Buhari. Give it to them in that language. Everybody has a love language. Even if President Tinubu doesn't know the love language of labor movement should know his own love language and act accordingly. Okay? So give it to him in that language. Strike if he further delays payment of minimum wage. And in fact, he has already delayed it. He has over-delayed it. He has outrageously sabotaged it as well. So, what are you waiting for as a labor movement? Is it when workers can no longer even eat that you will wake up again and start saying, okay, this is the strategy we should adopt? No. Start applying your own strategy now. Okay? If a strike, make sure that you follow up to the logical conclusion. Let everybody start seeing the results. Let workers start receiving their alerts, as the case may be. If there are arrears to follow the minimum wage, let the arrears also come. Then talk of calling off the strike. Otherwise, you are joking and Nigerians will also continue to think you are joking. So that is it for the labor movement. They're also a stakeholder. And like I always say, if politicians are playing on the intelligence of workers, it's because workers have allowed it. The same applies for the citizens, because you see exactly what happened. Even workers were being considered immediately. A planned protest was announced and the date was set. That was when the president suddenly remembered that, oh, even this issue of minimum wage, we should at least put it on paper. But you see, putting it on paper is not even good enough. He has already collected back whatever he put on paper, even before commencing payment. Okay? And that is to show you that protest, peaceful protest, especially under this kind of atmosphere, is something you should sustain. You mustn't even follow through with protests all the times. Maybe 2-3 times or so. Give government ultimatum. Maybe the first ultimatum they tried to do something, they didn't finish it. Give them a second ultimatum. If they don't do this, you're coming out to protest. Okay? I think from the body language of the president against the August bad governance protest, you can see that is the language he perfectly understands. Once you say you are coming out to protest, he will not go back to sleep. He will also follow through and take some action. Even if it is not the logical action. Believe me, he has not shown himself trustworthy with the way he responded to that protest up to today. But one thing remains clear. He recognizes and respects the love language of peaceful protest. He does. And if Nigerian citizens, you and me, can sustain that, then believe me, he will soon switch gear from bad governance to good governance, even if it's against his wish. And you can agree with me, because that is what he has also proven. So give him ultimatums. If you don't resolve this, we're coming out to protest also. So the labor people may be doing their own strike. Citizens should come out with their own peaceful protest. And together we achieve a lot better for our country. We'll drive a lot closer to the new Nigeria of our dream. Right? And another point I must add, you mustn't give date for protest. As far as the Constitution is concerned, every Nigerian has the democratic and constitutional right to protest. The Constitution is the supreme law. If the Constitution is not telling you or restricting you, don't allow anyone to restrict you. Not even in the name of some subsidiary law or legislation or anything like that. Or even what they call executive order. No. Nothing supersedes the Constitution in Nigeria, and the Constitution gives you and me the democratic right to protest, especially against bad governance, against insecurity, against economic hardship, against hunger. The only thing the Constitution recognizes, let it be peaceful protest. And so long as it's peaceful protest, even the security agencies owe you and me the obligation to provide security cover. Once they know this is where Nigerians are and this is where they are protesting, Nigerians don't need to go and apply to be protected. It is their duty 24/7 to protect Nigerians. We mustn't go and inform them that, okay, we're here now for peaceful protest, come and protect us. In fact, even by the time Nigerians start assembling out there on the streets or even in front of government houses and National Assembly complexes for protest, the police are even supposed to be on the alert. Otherwise, why are they there? Are they still a security and law enforcement agency? They should be in the know. You don't need to write an application later. You don't need to write a notice and say, oh, notice of protest. So long as you are out on a peaceful protest, it's already clear you are out on a peaceful protest. And they're not supposed to go and disperse protesters anywhere. They're supposed to guard against intruders. And you can spot intruders anywhere. There are people that even from their look, you know that no, they were not coming for the protest. Maybe they were being sent to come and cause some trouble or chaos. So the security agencies, they also have a role to play. We all heard of the mass resignations that have been going on in the army currently. The pursuit of a new Nigeria agenda is for the benefit of everybody, including the security personnel. So long as the security personnel allow themselves to be used by the politicians against innocent, peaceful protesting Nigerians, I assure you, things will be even worse for them, and at a point, citizens will also see them as enemies. And believe me, even criminals will see them as enemies. Because there are criminals, if you ask me, they have people to blame. Whether rightly or wrongly, they have a particular group to blame. Is that not how Boko Haram started? And were they entirely wrong? Yes, maybe they were wrong in their approach, but their perception was not entirely wrong. Some of the extrajudicial killings and all of that, someone you have in your custody, you go ahead and kill the person. You see people that are not carrying firearms, you just fire at them. Wrong. I think if security agents can also learn from the benefit of historical hindsight, they can learn from those occurrences. Because a point may come where the citizens and even criminal elements in society will see the security agencies to as outright enemies, and it will be beyond reconciliation. You don't even want to imagine that kind of atmosphere. But it starts with bad tendencies like this, like the police just looking at innocent protesters, shooting tear gas or even live bullets to disperse them. Wrong. Completely wrong. So, this is addressing even our friends and brothers and sisters who are in any of these security agencies. Your duty is to protect, not to kill or shoot or harass innocent citizens. In fact, the number one reason you should be resigning is if you cannot be free to do that. If anyone will force you to do something contrary to that statutory duty, that professional duty of yours, that should be your number one reason to resign. Not just because they are paying you peanuts. Everybody is going through that. But you now, maybe with the peanuts you are collecting, you feel motivated or inspired. Whatever is gingering you is not clear. But you justify it enough to go against innocent citizens. And then you expect that your prayers will be answered. You expect that your fortunes will magically change. No way. But the point I'm making is this. The political class should also take note of it. If they don't take time and they continue to misgovern, they continue to take harsh policies without any cushioning, without any significant measure of sincerity. You are visiting hardship on the people, telling them to be patient, and you are going about your luxurious lifestyle. You are feeding your fantasies fat on public funds. You may have a situation you didn't imagine, and it will be too late to even manage it, not to talk of handling it. But if things continue the way they are now, that even workers, let's say from grade level 15 down, are no longer feeling comfortable. They can no longer afford basic means, basic necessities and needs. Then believe me, a point is coming when Nigerians will not even announce dates for protests, because the protests will be spontaneous and they may not be peaceful at that point. They may not be peaceful at that point. That is most likely if things continue the way they are going now. However, I call citizens to be diplomatic, to maintain the course of peaceful protest, because it's the most intelligent thing to do. You didn't come out with guns in August, and yet the politicians began to panic. Some of you read where some governors were suddenly boarding jets to fly abroad ahead of the protest because they were not certain what was going to happen next. You have this power, recognize it and use it consistently. Give ultimatums. I'm still emphasizing that. Give ultimatums. Let it be that the citizens have human face, even if the government does not. Okay? Give ultimatums. Ultimatum 1, ultimatum 2, ultimatum 3. And when the government and the politicians don't respond accordingly, then you now know that, you have to adjust this strategy too. Maybe you don't even need to tell them you are coming out for protest again. Let them just expect you anytime. Okay? And believe me, that will change a lot of things. that will change a lot of things. So these are the key strategies. And this is the review. We can see where Nigerians are lagging. We can see where they have started coming up. But the general core here is for Nigerians to wake up and also discuss their issues collectively, the burning issues of the day like we know them, the incessant rise or hike in price of petroleum products, the minimum wage controversy, the rising cost of food and housing and rent and all of those basics. These are issues that concern everybody. Let's keep them on the front burner of our discussion. Stop pursuing useless jokes and drama that doesn't add value to anything. Let's keep those important issues on the front burner of discussion and let's take action. Question always, what next should we do? Even if it's not clear now, let's keep asking that question and discussing towards answering it till we arrive at what to do. Take action and be consistent with that action. It's a truism that any enterprise of life, whether private or public, consistency is what pays. So if we are expecting tangible results and long-lasting results, we don't just have to discuss and take action. We should be consistent with doing that. I believe these points are clearly taken, and I will crave your indulgence to wrap it up at this point. I would love to see your comments. I would love to see your likes and possibly shares. If you believe in the new Nigeria agenda, it is posts like this that you should like and comment to, and also share. Don't just share jokes and comedies that honestly are not adding any value to us as a country and even to your life as an individual. Like, comment, and share posts like this and keep the discussion going. And in your own way, take the action you can take. Support a political comrade or even Nigerian compatriot that you can to make meaningful economic change even in the current harsh economic realities we are facing. Thank you for being part of this maiden live session of New Nigeria Agenda. And a reminder, I'll be reposting these strategies. I will be reposting them on the different platforms so that we all can keep ourselves acquainted with them and of course promote them and employ them for meaningful and lasting political, social, and economic change in our country, Nigeria. If we all remain united this way, I assure you, a new Nigeria agenda is no longer far from us, and it's no longer just a dream, but will soon be a reality. Thank you very much. A happy celebration once again to our Muslim compatriots, and do have a happy holiday, everyone.